Good morning, everyone. This is Marie-France Lafaille from Université Sherbrooke. I'm with the International Relations Office. It's a pleasure to welcome you to this session today, the last day of CAI. Let me introduce our panelists right away because they do have a lot of interesting things to say. So we will start today with Karen Ulloa Figueiredo. She is doctor candidate at Swiss Management University in Business Administration. She also has a master in applied linguistics and bachelor in modern languages. She is currently the director of teaching at Minuto de Dios University Corporation in Colombia. She has been working at Uniminuto for 15 years. She has served as academic coordinator, continuing education coordinator, director of internationalization, and director of academic projects. Additionally, she has distinguished herself by the development of projects related to virtual courses design and the development of training processes oriented to instructional design and standardization of virtual. So welcome, Karen. Our second panelist is Pascale Lafrance. She is Director General and Associate Vice President for International Relations at Université de Sherbrooke in Quebec, Canada, since 2016. She has previously worked at the University of Ottawa, where she founded and directed the Office of Undergraduate Research. She has a master's degree in music performance and a master's degree in public administration. Our third and last panelist, Marie-Hélène Jobin, MBA and PhD. She is the Director of International Relations and Partnerships Office of HEC Montréal Business School. She is also a full professor in the Operations Management and Logistics Department and Associate Director of the HEC Montreal's Healthcare Management Hub. Her team manages one of the largest mobility programs among the business schools around the world, with 145 partners and more than 600 students outbound and the same amount inbound every year. So our panel today is about opportunities for pedagogical innovation during the pandemic. We want to look at it with a beyond digital transformation angle. So we will start with Karen Ulloa Figueiredo. I will ask each of the panelists to please take 1 or 2 minutes each to introduce your university context and DNA, and then present the COVID context initiative you want to put the light on today with its objectives and outcomes. So I will be sharing my screen right now. You should be seeing the presentation. So Karen, I'm gonna let you open your mic and start your presentation. You see my screen? Perfect.
Okay, good morning to everyone. Thank you very much for the invitation. I'm Karen Ulloa, and I'm going to talk about the Corporación Universitaria Minuto de Dios, Uniminuto. Can you go to next slide, please? It's a non-profit institution that offers affordable, high-quality technical and professional university education in Colombia. The university basically is focused on, or the target is the lower income students. And how we do that? It is based on emphasizing courses related to employability, affordability, accessibility, and through distance and virtual learning programs. The university has been moving in the way to have a different offer, not only face-to-face programs, but also to move to distance and learning in order to go to those regions where people doesn't have accessibility to tertiary education. One of the purposes of the institution are that the students become a social change promoters in their communities. And basically, another one of the goals of the institution is, as I mentioned before, to provide tertiary education of an excellent quality that is relevant for those people who don't have opportunities to access to that. As we can see in the next slide, we have a multi-campus. In the last 30 years, Uniminuto has been growing, and we made presence nationwide. We actually have like 11 campuses in 62 regions of Colombia. And currently we have 112,161 students enrolled. Here you can see the coverage and how the population has been growing. You can see that during 2020, we had less students because of the pandemic. Even we made different strategies just to help them to incorporate at the university, but this is the way we have been growing. You see that in year 2012, 2013, we started having more students. It is because we started having programs at regions, and we initiate the implementation of distant learning programs at those places. In the next slide, we can see the academic offering. We have 181 programs, starting from professional technician until postgraduate programs that are divided into face-to-face modality, distance learning, and also virtual learning. Our students, we can see in the next slide that 60% of students are women, 30% are men. And here we have like a classification for the range, age range. As you can see, the most students are ranged from 16 to 26 years old, and then the 30% of them are from 27 to 36 years. But also we have some population that are over 46 years old. Also, as you can see in this graphic, the students are also divided by the incoming level. And here in Colombia, we have like a classification by strata. We have like 6 levels, but our students, they are classified more in strata 1, 2, and 3. Also, the university has, well, the teachers, this is the faculty staff. We currently have 3,100 teachers. 50% of them are full-time, 37% are half-time, and 5% part-time. And most of them are ubicated at the master's degree level of formation. And the university has like 6 strategies, because we are recognized as an inclusive university, and those are the strategies we have for growth. The first one is the coverage. The second one, the quality assurance. We have been recognized by Q stars. The third one is the pertinence and employability, because we implement some strategies to help students to get employed in an easy way. The fourth one is the access, the permanence, and life plan. They have like they receive like a companion to do this. The next one is the financial sustainability. And the last one is the regional development and shared value. That this is what we have been doing, going to different regions. Well, during the pandemic time, we implemented different actions to encourage and promote the students' learning. As you can see, the first one was the most important, that was the economical support. The university implemented different strategies, starting by subsidies, scholarships, and discounts. We also, every academic period, we offered that, but during the COVID time, it was bigger than other years. Also, students, we received some donations, and also we have some contributions from business, from the business sectors, so we could have the opportunity to support students and help them to incorporate to the university during the pandemic time. As you can see, the financial relief plan for COVID-19 was around 158 million of pesos. Also, what the university did was to provide students with technological support. We give students around 1,200 computers. Those computers were distributed along the country, nationwide. And also, we give students 2,000 SIM cards to help them to get access to internet. Because, you know, as the university goes to those regions where there is not a good connectivity, or those students who doesn't have access to that kind of technology. So one thing was to give them the possibility by supporting with this kind of technology. Also, we have a campaign to give food aid for those students who didn't have job, who manifest any way that they didn't have even some things to eat. So the university tried to help them, and approximately 1,500 students benefit with delivery of no perishable products. Additionally to those strategies, we started working on the optimization of the digital content, as we have like lots of programs on distance modality. What we did was to take those contents and try to organize them and take advantage of that material to support those face-to-face programs. Because in the case of the university, the programs that are offered face-to-face didn't have like virtual rooms. So what we did was to take those content and check what we have in the banks, starting to make integrations. We also were recycling, make curation of the contents, and try to help those teachers of that modality to have some to offer to their students. At the same time, in the next slide, we can see that what we did was to design or to provide the students the opportunity to know the virtual classrooms, and also we designed like an interactive infographics that help them to go to those places where the information was established in order to help teachers and students to access to the educative resources. So in this case, they have the opportunity to get to the virtual classrooms, to go to the library. So it was like an easy resource we identified to help them to use the resources the university has in a more effective way. In this case, we also, in order to help those teachers and professors, we also designed like a change management strategy that was focused on three specific activities. The first one was training. The second one was the sensibilization and communication. As you can see in this image, the blue one was the actions focused on teachers. The pink one were the actions oriented to students, and the yellow one was were the actions oriented to both of them. The idea of implementing those change management strategies was that teachers and students feel comfy with the new way of assuming the study. Because at the beginning, it was very difficult for them just to work by means of technology. They have difficulties, they didn't understand. So what we did was to establish like a place to help them to know a little bit how the methodologies and the strategies for teaching and learning has been changed. So in the next slide, we can see that in order to support the training plan, what we did was to create like a landing page, and every single day we have like 2 or 3 conferences oriented to different topics. Specifically for teachers, we decided to focus on pedagogical strategies, how to teach on virtual environments, and also to help teachers to know a little bit more in relation to the technology. And at the same time, there were created spaces for students to help them to use the technology. In this website, students the sessions were recorded, so they have the opportunity to go back and review that information. Also, we decided to implement some communication strategies in order to keep teachers and students motivated, yes, because sometimes they didn't feel comfortable with the virtual classes. So the idea was try to maintain them motivated, showing that there were benefits from studying in this way, and also what we pretended was that they feel supported by the university. So that was the second strategy that we implemented. And the last one were the sessions we established based on motivation. And also what we did was to increment the use of educational media and resources. The idea was just to promote the use of all the virtual laboratories and simulators that we have at the university. At the beginning, those resources were used just by the students of distance modality. But then what we did was to transfer that information for the students of the face-to-face modality in order to promote the use. We consider that that kind of material will be very useful for them and also will make the sessions or the classes more interactive. So those were like the main strategies we implemented. Yeah, it was not only based on the economic support that we did to the students, but we also were very worried about the teaching and learning processes. So as the time is short, I don't have like the time to present everything we did, but I decided to bring the most important actions we implemented. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Karen. I will now welcome Pascale to come and talk about Université de Sherbrooke. Thank you, Pascale.
Hello, everyone, and thank you very much for being here. I'm very happy to be presenting our campus éclaté. I had a hard time trying to translate this expression because éclaté has a double meaning in French, but it's a way to say that the campus went beyond its territory, if we can say like that. So open campus is the closest I could find. So just before I start to explain what we did when we faced the pandemic, I thought it was important to talk to you a little bit about who we are at the Université de Sherbrooke. So we are a research-intensive university. We are considered a complete university with all the fields and domains, so including a faculty of medicine, law, we have engineering, we have business as well, and human science. We have about 30,000 students, and you can add to this another 10,000 students for what we call the third age university, for people that are retired above 55 that wants to continue learning. one of the main characteristics of the university is that it's to be called a great human university. So we are recognized by our students, by our community as a university that has kept a very close relationship with its student body. And in fact, we have just been ranked for the 6th year in a row the most appreciated university in Canada by its students. And that's because we have small groups, the students have access to the professors, and the services are there. So that's something that really defines us as a university. Another thing that, the second thing that really defines us is that we promote active and applied pedagogy. So about 89% of our programs of study have a mandatory, at least one mandatory internships during the course of the studies, which means that it's more than 5,000 internships per year that, that we organize or that our students do. This is very important because it was a key aspect of who we are that influenced what we did when we faced the pandemic. So speaking of the pandemic, then it's important to explain that in Quebec, at the end of March 2020, this is when the government decided to shut everything in the province, including universities. So that was very traumatic in a way, because the first question that comes is, how do you shut down a university? Research is going on, there's live animals in the lab, so it was a very difficult time. So the universities, the schools, the colleges had to be locked down. The province was locked down. Many of the stores had to close, and everyone almost transitioned to telework. But then at the Université Sherbrooke, we started working very quickly on a plan to be able to resume as much as possible the on-campus research, because some of the research can be done in telework, but some of the research needs the equipment, the lab, the animals. So the government, the University of Sherbrooke, and other universities worked on a plan. And in May, as early as May, towards the end, we were able to resume gradually on-campus research. We did the same thing for bringing back the employees of the universities during the summer for on-campus work for as much as was possible, while maintaining all the sanitary and health restriction, because Université Sherbrooke wanted really to be able to resume on-campus teaching in the fall. So it was important that the employees starting coming back on campus before that to learn how to work on a campus that has suddenly so many restrictions. Just to give you an idea, when we started in September 2020, it's about 60% of our courses that were taught with a good level of presential. So we were very happy. And I don't know if you remember that period, but we had to learn everything. We had to learn to do everything in a different way, because suddenly there were masks. You needed to wash your hand all the time. You needed to be careful when you meet someone in a corridor. You needed to distance yourself. So it was a very weird time where we were all very destabilized. So what you see there on the screen is a picture of our campus éclaté, our open campus. So it's basically, this is our main campus, but you can see the blue and the orange and the purple arrow shows all the sites or the areas that we had to set up to be able to expand our areas of living and teaching, and to be able to maintain and to give presential teaching while respecting all the sanitary measures. So we had spaces on the campus, but we also had to go outside of the campus in churches, cathedral that we rented. And for those of you who are less familiar with Quebec, we have actually a lot of churches that are barely used now for masses. So we were able to get access to those huge space that we could teach. We can go to the next slide. So this is a few examples of living areas that we had to set up, because well, I think the first thing you have to understand, for the ones like us who are not lucky enough to live in a country where you can be outside all year long, in Quebec, during the fall session, you can actually be comfortable outside in September and October. But then as of November, it gets rainy and cold. And so it was a period of time where we could live a little bit more outside. So we used that space to install more picnic tables, more chairs, so people could stay there and be distanced enough. We installed some tents that could be used to study or to eat. Just before we switched, we also formed a student squad patrol, and that's very interesting, because as a condition to being able to be on campus, do presential or in-person teaching, it was very important that we assured that the sanitary measures were respected. It was kind of the deal that we made with the authorities. So we had this student squad that was created, and that patrolled the campus, and we're making sure to remind people of the regulations if necessary. Can go to the next slide. So because our classes were not that big, suddenly if you have to have 2 meters of distance between each student in the class, we needed more space, and we needed huge space. So you can see there are 2 examples of one of a chapel and one of a convent, a cathedral that we rented, and we installed the chairs, the tables, screens, amplification if needed, internet. So we could provide in-person teaching. And on the next slide, what you see is new classrooms that we installed outside. And again, the weather is a key element here. In fact, the person who worked on this project looked at the weather statistics for the past 5 or 10 years, and they realized that throughout September and October, the weather is good most of the time. It's after the end of October that it starts to really be more rainy more frequently. So it was an opportunity to install those outside classrooms, and to really allow students to learn in a different environment. And that's we had a professor who actually developed a guide for teaching outside, and did some studies with the students. And what we can say is that everyone who worked on this project was very satisfied of the outcome. The students told us that it was very nice to be able to learn outside, taking fresh air, enjoying the nice weather. It was better for their focus. They had the impression that their brain could breathe while learning. However, it has some challenges like the weather, but also there were some noises and distraction, and it wasn't always easy to hear correctly the professor. So it was some of the hurdles that we face with the outside classroom, but the experience was good enough that we will continue setting up those classrooms outside in the future, because it really allowed to learn differently. You may wonder why we rushed that much to go back in person, why we worked so hard to set up all of this. And for this, you have to go back to who we are as a university with applied technology, with this human contact that is a characteristic so fundamental to us. if we had simply switched to digital teaching, it's a big facet of us that was going away. And we wanted to, as much as possible, give that possibility to our students to learn to live and to learn to work in a pandemic context, because we all had to work in this context. And our job as a university is to teach students how to work in the real world. So the real world has changed and we had to adapt our teaching content as well. So we wanted to respect that DNA, the DNA of our institution there. And we really had the students' success in mind when we made those changes, when the direction decided to go this way. And for instance, when we were limited in the number of courses we could do in person, we prioritized the first-year students. And first-year students who were able to be in person in September and October because we had the outside classrooms, at least it gave them the opportunity to connect with their professors. And after, it's easier to continue in the semester. As I said, some of the outcomes that are very interesting to mention is that one of our professors in the Faculty of Education developed a full guide for how to teach outside, how to use the environment as a pedagogical tool, but also how to deal with all the challenges. And it's available online. So if you would like to see it, I will gladly send the link. But I think it's very important to mention some of the health benefits that we noticed, and they are major. So first of all, being in person, a lot of people were worried that it would increase the contamination of COVID because people were there. And actually, it went the other way. We had a lower contamination level than in the rest of the city. And actually, this is explained because while on campus, the sanitary measures were respected, as opposed to when you are at home, it's easy to cheat a little bit and then have someone come over to your place and then you don't wear the mask and you're closer than 2 meters. But on campus, all those rules and regulations were very well respected. And this to the point where the regional health authorities at some point declared that university campuses were safe and were able to make the health measures respected. So it was really an argument in favor of starting back the in-person teaching throughout the province of Quebec. And the last benefits that I want to talk to you about is really the mental health benefits that was measured in a study, where you can see that in other regions during September to November period, the young adult mental health degraded in most regions, but in our region, it was preserved. I cannot say if it stayed the same throughout the pandemic. This was kind of in the beginning of the pandemic, but still, just for this, we are very happy to have worked that much to allow this project to go on. So that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pascale, for this presentation. I will now welcome Marie-Hélène to open her microphone and start her presentation.
Thank you very much, Marie-France. I'm pleased to follow Pascale, and she highlights some facts about the Quebec situation that will be helpful also to understand some of the things that I will say. I will present briefly what is HEC Montréal, and I will delve within the project that I would like to present to you. Just starting to say that HEC Montréal is a business school. It's a large business school indeed, with 15,000 students every year, coming from all around the world, 144 different countries. We are offering all kinds of specialization in management field, finance, marketing, analytics, economics, or OB, or human resource or logistics. And we are offering from undergrad with short programs up to the PhD. So it's very wide and large, like I said. We also have a very dynamic executive education unit, and we are offering a lot of different training program through this executive education program. I should say at this point, like Pascale highlighted for the University of Sherbrooke, that teaching is at the paramount of our value. It's really important. We didn't react exactly the same face to the pandemic than University of Sherbrooke did, mostly because we were not able to afford the means and that Pascale highlight with the outdoor campus. We are an urban campus, so it's not possible to think about that. We were however, looking very seriously about what Sherbrooke did, and I'm sure at one point, if we would have the luxury to have more space, we would certainly have tried to the strategy that Pascale presented. But anyway, it was not in a possibility. So teaching, as it is really important. By the way, it's part of the tenure track process. It's the most fundamental criterion that we have for tenure. So it's something that is really important. And doing bad quality teaching was something that was not acceptable. So all the faculty members, all the lecturers were so stressed about the situation. And one weekend we switched from live classes, courses to virtual classes. We were lucky because before the pandemic, we had put in place a program to use more Teams as a tool for our discussions and collaboration between colleagues. So it was something that was an easy tool to start with, and we've been able to switch right away online. Most of the students that we have were in the area of Montreal, so usually internet is not so bad. So, but still, we had a lot of situation that we had to deal with in this situation. Before going to the next slide, just want to add a couple of things about the international profile or DNA of HSA. We're having, like Marie-France said, maybe one of the most comprehensive mobility exchange program with more than 1,200 students every year that are going inbound or outbound. And we are doing some exchange with 145 different partners all around the world. So it was an intensive period for us just to come to orchestrate and coordinate the bring back home of all those students that were spread all around the world. But even if it was something that was really demanding and very stressful for the team and for the students, of course, we took this opportunity to put in place what we call the virtual mobility 2.0 program that I will present to you today. So if you want to go to this next slide, yes, I'll present briefly what is the initiative, what are the objectives and the outcomes that we were planning at first and that we deliver. There was an initial proposal. I want to highlight this because at the end of the process, we switch and we change and we adapt. And I think that it's the learning, most of the learnings are in between the initial and the updated proposal. And I will talk a little bit about the pilot project, what we are now and what are the challenges that we are facing and what we will do next. So this project was about being inclusive, make sure that we are preserving what we call the cohort effect. The BBA program that we have at HSA is really based on this cohort effect. And also the MBA program as well. But it was something that we were really, we know the benefit of this cohort effect, and we want also that the project of virtual mobility online can build on this asset that we have at HEC Montréal. We would like also to have an innovative pedagogy, and something that I was really concerned about is that let be clear, sustainable is not always compatible with mobility program. We are having some a dual, let's say, conversation when we talk about sustainability and we talk about mobility, because the footprint is really large. So can we do something about that? I don't want to engage my university in something that is good for students with the international mindset, but at the same time I'm destroying some value because I'm having a larger footprint. So it's something that I was keen to address and find a solution. So if you can change slide, please. So the objectives were to first develop an international program that will allow the students that were not able before the pandemic or outside the pandemic, and of course during the pandemic, but it was already crafted in the DNA of this program that we wanted to do it before the pandemic situation. So make sure that the students that will participate will be equal or have an equal opportunity to participate. If they have some disabilities, or they have low income, or they have some reason, like they maybe have children at home that they are not able to travel abroad, those students, maybe they are part of the 40% of our students at the BBA level that are not able to travel because they have those kind of disability or low incomes or people to take care of at home. So we want to reach them with this program. We were also interested, like I said, to make sure that there will be a long-lasting bounds and development that will be built with this program. So the long term was really important, and the environmental responsibility, I'm sorry with this word, and to reduce our ecological footprint with traveling abroad. The initial proposal was to build a program of 15 credits or 60 ECTS, if you want, that will cover 4 terms, 1 classes per term, on a virtual or co-modal course where students from different university, including the host university, that will attend to those classes, and we will make sure that there would be some activities like a workshop or final paper that have to be done together with the students from different university. At the end, for the last courses, it will be a learning expedition. It's an immersive program, and we offered to host it on the first year, but of course it will be a carousel and a rotation basis between all the university. So that was the first proposal that we have. Great for the IDA. We mobilized 10 different partners that were interested in looking in this or investigate a little bit more. But I will. Can you switch, please, Marie-France? Like when we start to discuss about the details, that's where we add some issues. We planned a lot of different scenarios. If we have 2 or 4 partners, or 3 or more, how can we do this? But at the end of the day, if you can switch to the next one, please. Yes, we discovered that 2 years, it's too long. It has to be limited to 1 year. because we are getting into a lot of different problems, especially because the students have to select specialization at one point. So it brings some additional challenges, especially if we have some stacking philosophy and we have to build on previous classes that are done before other classes. So it was a little bit complex with that. There was also some issues with the initial proposal where we were thinking about having exactly the same class attended by all the students in one semester. It's not realistic. We had to offer a little bit more flexibility. So there are 2 or 3 classes that will be offered each semester. But for the rest, most of the elements are similar. So students will have to take, instead of 1 class per semester, it's 2 classes on the first term, and then 2 classes on the second term, and then there would be the learning expedition at the end of the day. We start with just 2 other partners. So we are 3 partners, and I believe that they are really dedicated. We have Inspire from Brazil, and we have also Los Andes from Colombia and HEC Montréal. Some other partners are interested to join next year, but they were having some question to clear before we can go ahead. If you can switch, Marie-France. I'll go to those questions that we have to answer before. Before that, I will just present a few advantages of this new structure. So more flexible. It increases also the volume of interested students within each university. We have more flexibility. It's easier to manage the curricula of each partner. And we believe that there will be more opportunity to have more partners. So like I said, 3 partners, Inspire, HEC, and Los Andes. 3 courses will be offered in each institution. We made our best to select some classes who will include some teamwork and collaborative workshop. And also we are planning the learning expedition for next summer in 2023. And for the number of students, like you say, it's very small for the first pilot project, but still there are 12 students that have been selected for in each institution. And we are offering 3 classes each. So it's very small. They are integrated in the classes, but it's a start. And we'll learn from this experiment. And next year, we hope that there will be some additional partners that will be with us. Yes, one of the challenges that we have faced, I think it's the most important, it's the online course delivery. Some of the colleagues were not sure that they will deliver next year some online classes or courses, because it's after the pandemic, maybe they will come back to live courses. So it was not sure that they have the commitment from their the program leaders to go online. So it was maybe the most challenge, the most important challenge that we have to face. And the other point is that it's time consuming, promotion, selection, nomination, the IT development also, to make sure that we will have the students and application nomination process that will be developed on time. So there are some minor challenges with that, but it's still, we have to do it. We've been lucky with this project. At the start, we received a grant. So it helps to smooth those problems. So I'm not sure if we want to start it from scratch, that we will have the lever at the beginning to go ahead. So, but we're lucky. We already have this support. So it's perfect, and we're really pleased with this situation. So find an additional partner. We already have some that are interested, so we will go on with those few for the beginning, and develop, make some IT development and increase the participation. It looking good for next year. We already have a lot of people at HEC that have been interested in this new program and the challenges that it brings. This is all from my presentation. Thank you very much.
So thank you so much to our three panelists. So we have a few minutes left only. So I don't know if there's any questions in the public. I would be glad to leave the opportunity for questions. I'm looking at the chat room, the chat box. There's no question. So please raise your hand if you have any comments or question on one of our panelists. But in the meantime, maybe each one of you can take, Marie-Hélène, you've just mentioned a little bit what's up next with your project. Maybe Karen and Pascale would like to add a few words about what are the outcomes of this in the future.
Yeah, Uniminuto is working on hybrid classrooms. This is what we're doing now because students are coming to the university, but the idea is just to adequate spaces for having some students in the classrooms and others online. So this is the next steps that we are working on. And the idea is basically that we also work on the development on strategies, pedagogical and didactic strategies to help teachers to adequate to that new modality, no? How to alternate the teaching and learning processes in those scenarios. We don't think, or we don't have the opportunity to do things like Pascale did at the university because we don't have a big campuses. So we just have like buildings. So unfortunately, we don't have an open access to bring students. So that's why we decided to move on to implement the hybrid modality.
At Université Sherbrooke, actually, we I mentioned briefly, but we have been maintaining outside the classes and we'll build one in 2022 that will be permanent. So an outside classroom, but with some protection from the rain and the wind, because that's the major aspect. When it gets when we get snow, we don't want to be outside anymore. It's too cold.
Marie-Hélène, do you want to add a few words about this, or I could, because I'm really curious about how did the professors and the students react to all of these initiatives, especially in your case, maybe Karen, I guess the students were really, really happy about the generosity of Uniminuto, right?
Yes.
Yeah, they at the beginning, what we did was to send a survey just to know the situation of each one of the students. So that helped us to identify the strategies we need to implement in different actions. So who students need like an economic support, which one of them need an technological support. Also, the wellness department was helping them with some sessions, but students were really happy and grateful because the university was always helping them. We were taking care of them, not only in order to guarantee the academic processes, but also their mental health. It was one specific, that's why we, as I mentioned in my presentation, decide focus on these three elements: the training, how to use technology, how to adapt to a new way of teaching and learning, The second one, the sensibilization, yeah, but that sensibilization was focused on the mental health, how to help students to adequate to the situation, because most of them also have like familiar problems. Most students were employee, well, were different things. So that's why the strategies were like a integral, not only focused on teaching and learning processes.
And Marie-Hélène, the first reaction to
yes,
virtual mobility, what was it?
Okay, but let's say that we have some faculty that are raving about teaching online. They have discovered that they can do a lot of different things that we're not able to do, or it was more complicated in person. So they invest themselves in online. We have selected some very few classes for this project. So it's not all the classes that are open, just 2 classes during next semester and one during this semester. So it's not all the faculties that are exposed to this project. It's more some very selective classes where we know that there will be some teamwork and that are taught in English. This is one of the requirements. We can't select some class in French or in Spanish. It has to be in English for the international situation. So that's what I can say at this point. And there are other faculty who are really, really happy to be back in class this semester.
And Pascale, for the last word, a few words on the reaction of students or professors, maybe?
Yes, I think the students' reaction is interesting because we had a small group of students who were worried about coming back in person in the class. They were having anxiety about being contaminated, and on social media there were some discussions, and it was interesting to see that it was other students who were moderating the discussion and explaining to them that it was better to be in person, and if they couldn't deal with it, they could choose another university. So in the end, it's hard to please everyone, but it was nice to see the influence of students among them to evolve and be reassured and trust the institution's choice to come back in person in a safe way.
Well, thank you very much. Our session is closing right now. So there is the other room on the social website if you want to keep the conversation happening. So thank you so much to all 3 participants.
Thank you.
Thank
you.
Thank you all.